for me to have you guys come to the studio and do this. We normally do this at the church, but half the studio had either been traveling or they had baseball games or other things, so they couldn't come. So I thought we would try to have it here, and I'm so excited to have you guys here. Our guest speaker tonight is Mr. Tony James, and he's a very good friend of my daughter, Abby. And he's a musician, a local musician and actor. And he's a very accomplished musician, a very fine musician, and a very fine person. And so I hope that you guys give him your undivided attention and get this opportunity, take this opportunity to learn something about a musician and something about music tonight, right? And as he plays and kind of talks for us in the beginning, I want you to be thinking of questions that you have to ask him about his journey. He's going to share his musical journey with you. And he was on the same road that you guys are on. He started as a little kid, just ding, 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 just like you guys. And then now he can do all sorts of things with his music, and his music is taking him to all different sorts of opportunities and places. So think about questions that you have in your heart about your musical journey and get answers from him, because he's been down the road and he can help you and tell you. So y'all give Mr. Tony a big hand clap.
So I'm so glad to be here with y'all tonight. A little nervous because I'm an entertainer by trade, and these days mostly I sing. Usually people ask me to sing, and people don't know that I play the piano. So I'm always like, nobody asked me to play ever. But this past year it was interesting because I did get a lot of calls. I just recently was a rehearsal accompanist for a show at McNeese, and when they asked me about it, I thought, oh gosh, I have to play music exactly like it is. It has to be perfect. And so I was a little nervous, but I'm glad I did it. And then Miss George calls about this, and I thought, how perfect timing is this? Because, as a musician, the curvatures of my life and how I've used my musicality over the years has changed, and I just roll with it. Okay, but I'm gonna start with probably one of the more complicated ones for me. But these days my educational background was in performing arts. I went to Northwestern State University, and as she mentioned, I am an actor and singer, and so I do a lot of musicals. So tonight I have a few musicals for you all, but I have some other stuff for you to hear too, okay? This song is called She Cries, and it's from Songs for a New World. piece, some complicated time changes, a little bit of marimba, a little bit of salsa in there, you get a little jazz, then it slows down a little bit. You know, when I first was learning the song, the most challenging part was that, you know, the music is written crazily. And I mean that like a technical term, crazily. Okay. At the beginning, it's all in the bass clef. It's all in the bass clef, the entire song, all in the bass clef. And then all of a sudden, boom, we're in double treble clef, and then bass and treble, and then back to double bass clef, and then back to treble clef. So at first I was like, oh gosh, I have to look at the key signature every time I'm turning a page, because I don't know what's next. Right, but once again, that was from Songs from a New World, and that was called She Cries.
Now, does anybody have any questions about that song or about what he did to prepare for that song or anything like that? Alyssa?
Like that, yes, a little bit. For this musical, my forearms and wrists and everything were like, because the opening number was for like 10 pages. And by the time I was like, I would stop for a second to like massage my forearms. And, and that's so weird because you're not moving at all. I'm just in the same, you know, that doesn't feel comfortable. But after doing it over and over and over and over and over again, I got used to it, you know, especially when we did the run of the show. You just kind of get used to it, lots of massage on the wrist and stretching and doing all of that good stuff. And the dynamics helped though, because if I played everything hard, it would get very tiring. So, you know,
Could you all hear the dynamics? Could you hear how he was sometimes very loud and other times it was softer? Could you hear that? Didn't that make the music have a different feeling? Could you hear that? When it was loud, it was like exciting and kind of, and then when it got a little softer, a little more contemplative. Remember, dynamics have everything to do with that emotion. Just like in our voices, right? When we're mad, we might holler really loud, or when we're sad, we might get really soft. Music is the same. Dynamics are the emotion of music. And you could hear that so well in Mr. Tony's playing, couldn't you? Really good. Anybody else got a question about that? Anything he's done? Yes?
Was that like the hardest song you ever played, or no?
Well, not the hardest song I ever played, but for me, for right now at this time, it was, because I hadn't had to read sheet music and play in like over 5-6 years now, you know, because I'm just mainly singing. So the main thing was reading it, and because it is written weirdly, like part of the process, we have a lot of problems with the score and not matching up to what the music was. Editors didn't do a good job. And so it was a little weird. It was challenging, and then you're working with singers, and they might want it faster or slower, and I've been rehearsing it with just me for like months by myself. Then singer's like, it's not fast enough, and I was like, oh my gosh. Like today I played it in the tempo that's comfortable for me, but it's really, and I had to get that in. So that was a little difficult.
Now, let's take a poll. How many of you think Mr. Tony, when he played that, played every single note right? Now, be honest. If you think he did every single note right, if you didn't hear any wrong notes, raise your hand. Anybody else? Yeah, there's good. Okay. How many of you think he made at least?
Nice.
How many of you think he made at least one mistake somewhere? Right. Good. So, Mr. Tony, which is it?
Yes, every time I had to turn the page.
So look, that's what it's about. It was hard to tell if he made any errors at all because he covered it so well. Musicians aren't perfect. We don't play perfect notes. We're not robots. We're human beings, and we make mistakes. But the trick is not, you know, being perfect. The trick is getting over the mistakes and just moving on with the music. Musicians have to grieve fast. We can't fall into a puddle if we make a bad note. We can't start over if we make a bad note. We got to keep moving. And y'all could hear, y'all know probably just by logic dictating, he probably made a wrong note somewhere. But you could not hear him. He didn't drop a beat. He just kept going and going and going perfectly. So that's really the idea behind your music, is not playing every note right, but continuing on, because the music is more important than any one wrong note.
That's true. And along with that, when I was working on the show, I was very frustrated. And one of the directors said, we're not going to let one piece define your whole talent and abilities. And I was like, oh, that's right. this one song doesn't mean I'm a horrible musician.
That's true,
But I
that's
felt
true.
like it. But I got over it. All right.
That was so good, Mr. Tony.
So-
Anybody else got a question about that? All right, moving on.
This is from, that last piece was from the aspect of being a rehearsal accompanist, okay? When you're playing for someone else that needs to sing. Sometimes as musicians, you're maybe a pianist, where you're just playing a piece with yourself, or maybe with an orchestra or jazz ensemble. And so it's all about the music necessarily, and not Jeremy the singer. So this is one of those pieces. This is The Autumn Leaves, also known as Les Feux Mortels, okay? And it's was written by a French composer, Joseph Cosma, and it was made into a very popular jazz piece eventually, pop jazz. It's from the 1940s. Drift by my window. So that was The Autumn Leaves. Very somber sounding song originally, but as it evolved into a jazz standard, you get, little difference. And then, people have done it in different tempos. The autumn leaves outside my window. The autumn leaves are red and gold. Same chords, same progression, but different tempo, different style, whatever the musician prefers.
Who knows what tempo means? Yes, Sid?
It means like how fast or slow you go.
That's
Yes.
right. To how fast or slow. Remember, tempo is like the heartbeat of music. It's regular, right? It can have a cello rondos where it gets faster, but it's predictably faster, and then ritardandos where it gets slower, but it's predictably slower. But that steady tempo, fast or slow, is what he's talking about.
Any other questions about this piece? I cheated and sang it in English.
It was beautiful. Anybody got any questions about it? Yes.
Oh, what is that song originally called? Like what language?
In French. Yes, Le Feuille Morte, the dead leaves is what it translates into. And the French version, like the words are way more somber and like, and then when it became so popular, and then someone wanted to sing it in English, and so we have this sort of different translation, different meaning. A lot of poets. Now, this was a poem originally. Okay, so a lot of music that you may play, classical music, some Schubert, or different writers have take different settings, different poems, and put it to music, and this was one of them. The guy that wrote this obviously was going through some things. He was missing someone, okay? Any other questions? All right. So, like I said, I have a very strong musical theater background, and this is another song from a musical y'all may know. Who likes chocolate? Me too! Who's seen Willy Wonka?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Yeah. All right, so you may know this song, okay? This is Pure Imagination. There is no place I know to compare with pure imagination. There you'll be free if you choose to. Oh, I forgot something. You didn't happen to have a copy machine here,
I
did
do.
you?
I do.
Just 10, I guess, and they can share
Yeah,
that. Does anyone have any questions about this last piece? Well, I'll tell you something about it. Okay, let's, if you don't have young, sharp eyes. Okay, so you see the sheet music here. All right, but, oh, sorry, I mean this here. But, okay, and above it you'll see the names of the chords, right? What we'll call the leads, or for the musicians who may not read music, you know, you have that little cheat sheet there for you. So sometimes when I'm playing, I'm using a little bit of both because the music might be a little or a little boring. So because I know my scales, I know my key signatures, you know, I know my minor and major scales in every key, it helps me a lot. So I don't have to work as hard when I'm learning a piece because there's so much information on some of this music, the way it's printed out, that helps me out to, you know, play it the way that I may want to, okay? Obviously when, part of the reason why I'm playing and then singing some of it for you all is, as a musician, if I'm playing for someone else, I'm going to play it a little different than when I'm singing and playing because some of the rhythms don't work well with, you know, my fingers and the melody, it won't happen. So you adjust, you know, you may hold something a little longer than normal on the piano or with your vocals than you normally would, or need something quicker than you would, okay, when you're playing for someone else. Yes, ma'am.
I know you said that song earlier, you slowed down the tempo a little bit.
Yeah.
How do you, whenever you're slowing down tempo, like, how do you decide how slow you want to make it?
Well, it depends on the song, and I'm referencing people that came before me, you know, someone else who did the same thing. The wonderful thing about jazz music and that last piece is that back in those times, 30s, 40s, you may have had 8 to 10 or more artists singing the same song on the radio, right? There wasn't like a lot of songs written the cover. You would hear Ella, Sarah Vaughan, all these different people do the same song and put their own little zhuzh into it, whether they slowed down the tempo, sped it up, maybe they lilted some of the melody, but you could still recognize the song when you hear it. And it's all about you, how you feel. The music is flowing through you. The notes are there as a guide for you almost. You know, of course, if you're playing for a specific thing, they want the music how it is, note for note. But sometimes, definitely, you know, over the years, with expression as an artist, you just let the music flow through you and you play it the way it feels, but still maintaining the integrity of the music. It's what we call musicianship. I'm not going to just scratch the whole melody and throw it away. Might as well write my own song if I'm going to do that. So I respect the integrity of the writer's melody and emotion and what they were trying to express with finding a way to put myself into it. And that's basically that. Especially with that song, I would never really...
It doesn't fit the
No, it doesn't. So, and someone has, you know what I mean? They felt it that way. I think that's, you know, that's that doesn't make sense. Not the best choice.
Anybody got another question for him about that song that he just played, or anything else? You got one, Dylan?
How much did you involve?
On Career Imagination, quite a bit, but not really. This arrangement is the musical arrangement, which is another thing. It's different than the song arrangement of this song because it doesn't have it has space for the lines and for somebody to say, oh, I want my piece of chocolate. So, you know, it has all of that, and then you have all of the scene change stuff going on. So a lot of the music didn't really get played. Like some of the intro I played to mimic the bells, but not the rest of it, because then it doesn't sound right with everything else. And perspective sounds like weird stuff going on. But good question. Good question.
He's kind of at the same place. He's trying to, you know, he's a very good reader, but he's also trying to embark on the improv world and trying to find that balance between the two.
Okay.
So.
Well, you know, you like I said earlier, know your scales. Know the minor, major, all the different ways, your blues scales. Know your chords. When I see an F minor 11 or F minor 11 over B flat, I'm playing that. What's there, and not necessarily the music here that's there. Okay, so it has a little bit of both. So because this writer wanted it to be known that even though they wrote this here, this is the feeling that they want from that chord. If that makes sense. Okay, and sometimes the music, writing it out, doesn't always express that in that way.
How many of you notice when Mr. Tony touches the keys, he doesn't just bang out, he's very artful with the touch. Do you see? He's very artful with the touch. That matters. It seems like it's a piano, no matter how I touch it, it's going to sound the same. It's not true. The way you approach the keys, the physical way that you approach the keys matters. And you can see that so beautifully. He does such a beautiful job of that with all of the lifts. Some of you are working on that wrist lift right now, and he does those nice wrist lifts. Very artful. It's almost like ballet or dance. If you watch his hands, you'll see there's a lot of dance-like movement there. That matters in the way the sound is produced. The way he leaves the key and the way he addresses the key, it matters. Also notice his foot. If you haven't already, notice the way that he's pedaling. Does he ever come off the floor with that heel? Never. His heel is always on the floor. We don't pedal from the thigh. Some of you who are working on pedal right now still pulling that thigh up. He works it from the ankle. So watch, if you're learning pedaling right now, watch his foot and you'll see how he is pedaling very effectively and beautifully. You cannot hear any problems with the pedaling. Really good. All right, I think we're ready with this, Mr. Tony.
Okay, cool. All right, so this is going to be good for you. Okay, answer. It's going to.
Everybody kind of look on. I only did about 8 of them.
Share, if you can, get in like groups of 3 or 4, I guess. Okay.
I got one more coming off the presses.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Now, when you hear this piece, you're going to think, oh. But I assume you were hating.
Yeah.
I'll get one back to you guys, Audrey. One's coming y'all's way.
How long have you been playing?
Since I was 4 or 5, my mom is here. She was my original piano teacher.
Wow.
I sit next to her and my sister at the piano. At about probably 3 or 4. And then middle school, we didn't have a choir, we had band. And so I played drums. During those times we had drums at home. My mom was like, your sister has a clarinet, we got these drums. One of the two. And so I picked drums. But then when I got to high school, I started playing again. My dad was a pastor of a church, and they needed a musician. And, you know, all those piano lessons weren't going to go to waste, right?
That's right. That's right. You're gonna help your church.
I picked it back up again then. And you know, I will say this, especially for you young ones, this stays with you, okay? You know, I was joking about not playing off of sheet music for a long time, but I was very serious, you know. But all of the skill set that I had learned leading up to this time, it stays with you. And while we're talking about that, I was worried that I would talk too much tonight because my voice students probably Here we talk all the time. So here's a little science with our music today, okay? Here we go. Okay. This is the highway in your brain that information wants to travel on, okay? Musicians are very special, gifted individuals. We're superhuman. Can anybody tell me why? It has something to do with our brains. Yes. Yes. But what do musicians do with our brains that normally any other people don't do? Yes, sir.
Strengthen them. Strengthen them.
Yes.
Work on our fingers.
Yes. But, yes, ma'am.
Memory?
It helps. What I'm going to get to helps us with memory. Well, go ahead. You seem like that was
Does it have something to do with how we have to like rely on like the eye and hearing coordination while we're learning on our
Almost. I thought you had it. Well, what?
Or use it with
There you go. Bam. Did somebody tell you? Okay. Oh, she just told you. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Okay. We're using both sides of our brain. The average person on a daily basis only uses one side of their brain. They're either artistic or analytical. Musicians, more specifically piano players, have to use both sides of your brains. Anytime you're playing, you're using both sides of your brains. It may not feel like it to you because you're young and your brain is like sharp as a tack and malleable and it just comes to you, but it's a special ability that people don't really get to use, okay? So now because of that, all of those sparks are flying in your brain and firing up already. And here's the highway that your brain wants to process information on. So here's where music goes beyond for people that want to be musicians. It helps whether you decide you want to be a scientist, a teacher, a doctor, anything. Repetition. You learn your piece and you play it over again. You're playing your scales every day. Here comes more what we call myelin. M-Y-L-E-N. Myelin in your brain, it's like this tubing here. And as we repeat things and we do them over and over, it gets thicker and thicker and thicker. All right? And now that highway that information wants to travel on is thick and wide, and it can process information fastly and quickly, and you can retain more information. So you musicians are doing this wonderful thing to yourself. Every time that you practice, every time that you're sitting at the piano, you're developing more myelin on your brain, and now when you're in school you can process information much more quicker than the average person, okay? And that's backed up by science. If you want to look more into it, if you've ever watched a TED Talk, they have Ed Talks, and specifically they have Ed Talks for musicians. And it's very, very short videos, 3 to 4 minutes with good information to let you remember and know how special you are. Okay, here's the music theory song. I love it. And you're gonna love it too once you hear what song it's based off of. Okay, based off of. I'll play it for you and then we'll sing it together. Anybody recognize that song? Thank you. What is it? Anybody recognize the song?
It's a Christmas song.
That's right. It's actually called The Christmas Song. People know it as Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire, but it's called The Christmas Song.
I was right.
So let's sing along with me and read that paper and see what this song teaches us about music, okay? And perfect for you, okay? It gives you the melody in your right hand and chords to choose from on over top, so you can make it as lush and as nice as you want to, okay? And it gives great suggestions as to what to do. Octave moving to the median, major 6 stepping down to do, major 2nd being sung by a choir, chromatic alterations of the scale, diatonic scale, descending scale to minor 3rd, major 6, 2nd, 5, 7 of 4. It's hard to say this. Major 2nds with their ears open wide will hear a pretty tritone tonight. There's minor 7s in the bridge. There's also lots of minor 2nds in the bridge. And every minor 6 is gonna try to hear the supertonic over 5 of 5. A motif used to build this simple phrase. Major 6, 5 walks down to 1. Although this phrase rises to a high leading tone, drop a perfect fifth, meet the Flintstones, sing a perfect 4th to 1. So, if, let's look at this. Major 6 stepping down to do. What's do in this piece? That's right. Anybody else know? Did y'all hear what you said? C. Okay. And so we know that the key signature tells us that we're in C, right? And so then the rest of the song tell us cool things we can do if we're in C. We can do a major 6 and step down to do. Major 2nds, chromatic alterations of a scale. So, you know, you have, it sounds like, okay? So, little things like that. So y'all can hold on to that. And that
I'll make more
is
copies,
fun.
guys, and I'll have them in lesson next week. For if you didn't get one, you want to keep it, I'll have copies for you.
So anybody have any questions about that piece?
Yes, Ansley?
I'm guessing you had different sheet music than this.
Yes. What do you mean as far as?
Like,
You were
you
reading
were
that.
playing.
Yes.
Oh no, I was playing this. I was
Yes.
playing this. Yeah.
Yeah, he
And that's what that's about. It gives me the melody, but the leads are on top, so I can kind of play what I want there. A C major 7th, a D minor 7th, all of that stuff. Lots of 7ths in this song.
Yeah.
They almost all are. And I love me some 6s and 7ths in my chords. Okay, which I'm gonna play some for you now. I didn't mean to cut anyone off though, if anyone else had any questions. Anyone else? Okay. Now, how many of us play contemporary Christian music in church on Sundays or listen to it. Do you have any contemporary? This is what I know you. So you play at your church now, or sing? Okay. Well, here's what we get, which was very different for me. Okay, when I first started to try to learn this way, I was very confused by what I was seeing. Okay, so this is a different style of sheet music. We call this lead sheets. It leads you but doesn't tell you what to play. Okay? A lead sheet. Okay? So we get some of the chords, some of the notes. We don't get no melody, no timing, no any of that. You just have to listen to the song and learn it. But okay, what else about this? Okay, it tells us the tempo, the time signature, and the key. And sometimes that's not always right. Okay? So I thought I picked this song, maybe that would be familiar, but let's see here, okay? So with a song like this, if I'm playing piano by myself, I definitely have to do different things to switch it up. Holding some of the sections, just breaking that chord down. That's all I'm doing. And it's a good place to start, especially for beginner musicians. And then you can go from there with whatever you feel. Definitely when I get to the chorus or bridge of that song, you know, to add a different feel to express what's building up inside of me, I could start. Or you know, I'm playing what's there. I'm playing the chords they give me there and just expressing myself through that. Okay? That's why now I love lead sheets. Like, why didn't I know about these before? No, just kidding. All right, any questions?
Any questions about that? About lead sheets or what he did as far as just reading a chord and improving the rhythms and all the notes within that chord? All right, so does anybody have any questions for Mr. Tony about his journey? About how he got started? What did he feel about practicing? Did he always love music? Did he ever think about quitting music? Anything like that? Yes, Alyssa?
What was your first instrument?
Piano. Piano was my first. It was my first. Started when I was, you know, very little. Yes, sir.
Yes, oh.
What did your first day feel like?
My first what?
Your first day at piano?
Ooh, that's too long ago for me to remember. I do remember. Oh, I don't know why it makes me emotional, but I sometimes, you know, music comes to you and not you to it. And so the piano for me was when I was feeling sad or feeling alone or whatever, I would just sit at the piano and play it and write songs until I could feel better. So sorry, I didn't mean to cry. I've never really thought about that before, but you know, yeah, yes, ma'am.
What did your third day look like?
What is my what?
What did your third day look like at piano?
Oh, well, I don't remember, but I do remember just music being there since I was a young age, and it's made a big impact on me. Yes, go. A little bit of drums, a little bit of guitar, mostly piano. Yeah.
And vocal, he said.
Yes, yes. Yes,
I
ma'am.
was just gonna ask what inspired you to learn piano.
Oh, my
Mama.
yes.
Thank God for Mama.
Yes,
My
they
mom
do it.
and my sister, they, you know, would sit there and, you know, like I said, you know, just something about music, you know, just, it's hard to express. Yes, ma'am.
How did it feel like performing in in front of a bunch of people?
Cool. Well, this size audience is the most challenging for me. It's the most difficult. A year ago, last year, I sang in Carnegie Hall in New York, and I've done that before. It wasn't my first time singing there, but you know, those audiences are huge, and I just cannot look at them. You know, I can look way to the back of the room, but with y'all here, y'all can see what I'm doing. But that does make me the most nervous. The larger audiences never really bothered me. It's always, you know, the smaller ones.
Now, we're fixing to enter into recital prep. And so what would you give them as far as advice on how to deal with your nerves? I mean, you know, they have to perform, and so
Yes.
that's coming.
Well, your first thing is that you want to feel prepared and confident. Part of my voice studios, our slogan is sing with confidence. And you only get to that place with feeling secure in what you're going to do. You practice until you feel like you know what's going on and it's a part of you. me talking about myelin and what happens on the superhighway of our brain is a big part of that confidence and getting recital ready, because you've done the hard work, and then now your brain is just running on autopilot, which actually is what true muscle memory is. When people refer to muscle memory, that's the deeper meaning of it. You just know it, you know. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Was there any time in your life where you doubted playing piano?
Oh, yes. Yes. I mean, my leg used to do like this whenever I would have to. I mean, if I just was going to be singing, I was fine. But if I had to sing and play for myself, oh, that leg was like. I mean, literally, it would be like. But just doing it more and more, and just being more prepared each time. You know, that's where we make our success in being prepared. It's the work that you do behind the curtain, behind the scenes, that makes a big difference in your work. And also saying yes anytime, even in the times where you feel ill-prepared. Okay, I'm gonna do it. Yes, I'm gonna do it. And just open yourselves up to different styles and genres and different ways of approaching music. Some of Miss George's students or past students that she's had, go to the church that I go to, and they told me about your style of teaching, and I just thought it was so amazing that, my teacher, she was a great teacher, piano teacher, but she never spoke to me about playing with emotion like Miss George may talk to you all about, and how that's when you're playing whatever kind of music you're playing, and that's important that you all have that, because anyone can do. Okay, but are you going to put yourself into that? There was a statement about a famous pianist, and the observer said, I didn't know if he was putting the notes in, pulling them out of the piano. And you want to leave people wondering that, were you putting them in, or were you pulling them out? Because you just play from your heart. And not just that place alone, but a prepared place in your heart. When people refer to, freestyling or improvisation, that improvisation isn't improv on the spot. It's prepared improv. I practice, with that. I know I do that lick every time. I can do it in my sleep. It's a prepared spontaneity. You can be spontaneous and creative, but you got to know what you're doing.
Anybody else got a question for you? Yes, Dylan?
So do you write more music?
Yes, I did. Actually, I started out as a writer mostly because I couldn't learn other people's music that well. And I said, well, I got to do something for this, whatever was coming up. So I started writing my own music. And it was a great thing for me. I got started in the industry when I moved to New York as a songwriter. I moved there to do, musical theater. It didn't happen. I mean, it didn't happen because I didn't go to audition until later on. But, oh gosh, I've distracted myself and forgot what I was telling you. Yes, right. Thank you. I started out as a songwriter, writing for different people, writing for different groups, and it's what I really love to do. I really love songwriting because you get to express not only your feelings or views of the world, but other people's feelings and views of the world. Because I wasn't always writing for myself, and different people have different messages and things to say, and my job as a songwriter was to help them express that feeling that they of the message that they wanted to convey. And it's not everyone is a writer, and not everyone is a musician in the way that we see studio musicians or maybe performing musicians. There are so many different types of musicians, different purposes, different rooms for your gifts, different things, whether you're going to be a songwriter, a studio musician, an accompanist, a rehearsal accompanist, a concert pianist, a jazz pianist, a gospel pianist, a pianist that just likes to play for their family and friends. It doesn't, there's so many aspects of that, and I grew up, no one told me this was my own feeling, that my playing only had one room for it, like there was only one place for it to be. And it limited my view of the world and my dreams until my teachers and mentors said, hey, you can do this or do that, that it opened up the world of music and the arts to me. And when Mr. Arthur was referencing my wrist, well, I did spend a lot of time as a dancer. I paid my way through college. And, any of you, if you play sports or if you dance or if you do any of that stuff, any other stuff in the arts, it all connects. It all makes sense. It all connects to the way the music feels to you and the way you express yourself.
Okay. You had mentioned this earlier while you were playing, how sometimes when you would turn the page, you'd mess up.
Yeah.
How do you... I was trying to kind of go out into songs where I have multiple pages and add some of those pages.
Yeah.
And that. How do you get to a point where it's like, even though you mess up, you still keep going?
You just keep going. I know this song well enough to play it without the music, but I was just nervous and all this other stuff, so I had it there. But honestly, that's the only solution. Just feeling prepared enough within yourself, and you go on. I saw this interview the other day of this pianist. She's playing with the orchestra. She had learned the wrong concerto. And they get there, and it's the performance is that night. And she gets here. She's sitting in rehearsal at the piano like this. She's like going through her mind. She's like, and her time is about to come up. It's about to come to solo, and she just start playing. She had played the piece before, but that's not what she had practiced and been working on for weeks and months. And it just came to her. And just looking at her, you could just almost see her just like her mind was just like, it's like racing. But it worked. I'm sure everything wasn't perfect, but I'm sure when she started playing, it started coming back to her. But to watch that was like, man, some people are crazy gifted.
Because I just get stressed, freak out, and then I forget where I am. I just lose the whole thing.
Oh yeah, no. Don't forget the joy of it, guys. You know what I mean? Don't let those nerves get to you. It's remember why you started doing this in the first place. Whatever it does for you, whether it brings you joy, peace, you just like the sound of it, whatever. Remember that. And remember
Anybody else got any questions? Yes, sir.
How do you know which notes to put into the piece that you worked on? So you've got all the lyrics, you've got
Yes,
the
sir.
tune in your head.
Mhm.
How do you begin with the note playing?
You mean when I'm writing something or when I'm learning something else?
Oh, when you're writing.
Well, I learned a lot of songs, as like a singer. I loved music, but I would say sometimes the song comes to me with just the chords. Sometimes I might have a melody in my head and no words. Sometimes words, no melody, no song. And I guess over the years I've just drawn inspiration from different things. I know it may sound cliche, but I might hear something ringing over here, a car horn toot over there, or a smell or something reminds me of something. And honestly, it just comes from God. I sometimes I can't explain, the melodies that come to me. It's just.
It's inspiration.
It is. I did have a problem with that when I was in my early 20s, and my dad called me on the phone one day, and he was like, "Hey, what's going on?" I was like, "Okay, this is weird. You don't call me." And he was like, "How's everything going?" And I was like, "Well, I'm working on a project, and I just can't get it done. You know, I can't finish these songs." And he said, "You have to remember where your gift comes from, the source of it, and you tune into that, and you'll be okay." And then he got off the phone. I don't know if that's why he originally called me, but that's what he told me, and it stayed with me. That connectedness within myself, the connection to the music, my spiritual connection to God, because I feel that's where, you know, the main source of my gift comes from. And so when I'm searching for that melody or lacking, I'm just like, "Oh, I can't get it." You know, I just sort of center myself up. And I don't listen to a lot of music, really, if that makes sense. Yeah, I don't listen to a lot of music.
But just
especially-
before you know it, you're writing something, then you're like,
That's
"That's
already
on
a
me."
song. Yeah, so, and that's the tricky part. I don't really listen to a lot of music unless I have to learn it or something from week to week, and it just, I try to push it out of my
So
brain.
your process, when you get a melody, are you just like fixing a snack and a melody comes in your head, you can hear it in your head?
Yeah,
Or
you
is
know-
it more tangible, you're at the keys and you're feeling those notes and you're saying, "Oh, that works"?
Well, early on, that's how it started. I'd watch one of these videos about how to learn to play whatever, you know, that practicing music. Don't do that.
Wait a minute,
But-
say that again.
Practice.
Say that again.
But one of the things that it taught, I'll never forget it, was on the left hand, you know, it's just breaking down that trichord. And my first song was like that. Okay? And that's it.
So that kind of was the beginnings of it.
That was the beginnings for
And
me.
now, as far as your journey in music, now you sit down, can you, literally fixing a snack, can you hear?
Yeah.
Like in
Now
your head.
with more and more practice, it's like, okay, it's time to go to work. I'm
Yeah.
gonna come up with something.
Yeah.
You know, people write jingles for commercials. You know, songs for artists, songs for musicals, songs for plays, for operas. You know, that's a totally different thing.
What tools do you use? Do you pen and paper? Do you use a computer program?
I've used a little bit of everything. Lately, I've been going back to my pen and paper because I just couldn't, my brain was not doing right. So actually, last week and the week before, I've been writing on pen and paper. I read, and this may be a good book for any of you. It's called The Artist's Vein of Gold, The Artist's Way, Julia Cameron. And my voice teacher in college recommended it to me. And it's for artists, it's for non-artists, it's for anybody that is dealing with that whole process. And you find, one of the things that helped was the daily journals. You write, "Hey, I don't feel like writing today, I don't know what's going on, I'm just doing it because I want to be able to write even when I don't feel inspired," okay? Because you have to exercise that muscle. And then what happens is, from those pages comes out different characters or different thoughts or different things, and you go back. I have a lot of songs that are halfway written that were just a line or a phrase or just a chorus or maybe a piece of a verse, and then it just builds from there and goes on and on and on. And you just, you know, think about, I observe people, I would sit at coffee shops and look at people and pretend the conversations they were having, I would imagine what they were doing, what they were saying to each other. I eavesdrop on people's conversations. You know, and
Whatever it takes.
by chance, I was telling my friends this the other day, for a big part of my life, people would just walk up to me and tell me their life stories for no reason, and I was just like, that's interesting. But it does happen. It happens more often than not. And so I just would hold on to those stories in my brain and just, you know, connect with all of that. Telling stories through music, through these songs, whether you have lyrics or just music, is so important because the people listening to you their stories are in those songs, their troubles are in those songs, and someone else saying, hey, those are mine too, is something important for them because they feel like they're not alone, or that someone else can relate to what it is they're experiencing. And it's very important as artists, as young artists, no matter where level you're on, to remember that the music does benefit us, but it's for the people. It really is for the people that hear you and what you leave them with at the end of your performances.
Now, all of you, even if you're a very beginner, all of you can write. All of you can make your own songs. We learn music out of our books, but we can also express music out of our hearts. And a lot of you do that already. Emma does that quite a lot, don't you, Emma? You like to play songs out of your own heart, don't you? Quite a lot. So you don't have.
Is that you?
That's her. Emma
Oh.
Emma's a quite a fine little writer. I think she's going to be great when she gets to pen and paper. But right now, she's coming out of her heart. That's really part of your musical experience. Not just learning notes. Yes, learning notes, but also coming out, letting music come out of your own heart and expressing that music, whether it be on flute or whether it be on piano or clarinet. You guys need to be able to play what's in your own heart, because that's pretty cool that you guys can do it. But you've got to give yourself wings to be able to do that, right? Permission.
What do you think about when you're writing?
I don't write. I really want to grow up and do ballet.
Oh, ballet.
But I don't write.
What about music though? Do you write music at the piano? Do you make up your own songs at the piano?
But I don't write.
No,
Okay, that's okay. That's okay. It doesn't
That's the
mean
beginning.
literally that you have to write it down. It just means that there's songs and music in you, and you can play it. Okay.
Anybody else got any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Who are your favorite composers?
Ooh. Well, Debussy. He's a French composer. I like him musically and from a singer standpoint. I like his music. Very romantical, you know, the French. And my voice very much fits that sort of ballady style. I'm not that kind of tenor where it does all sort of. I need a oh. But Duke Ellington is probably one of my favorite. Mozart, I really do like Mozart better than Beethoven and the other ones. I just understand his. I hear his music in here better than the rest. Oh yeah. Yes. Not enough though. But yeah.
Did you ever think
in the
about
past.
leaving music?
Oh yes. And not too long ago. I had an audition a couple of years ago, and I came back and I told my friend Lori at church, I was like, girl, I'm done. I was like, this is my last Sunday. I'm done. I'm done. I was about to just go back to my 9-to-5 life and all of that good stuff. I was so frustrated with myself. I don't know what I was. I was embarrassed. I felt that I wasn't good enough, and I know that isn't true about myself. But at that moment, I did feel that way. I did
So
feel
we all
like
have those
something.
feelings, don't we? I mean, don't you all feel like that sometimes? You're like, I can't do this. This is too hard. This piano, you reach a wall with it, and you're like, I just can't do it. Or when you're learning flute, I can't get past this wall. I'm never going to advance past this, and get frustrated. That's a very human thing to do.
Mhm.
And if you're a human, expect it, right? If you haven't experienced that yet, hang on, you will. But you got to push through that.
Yeah, you really do. It'll happen. I mean, I'm sure there's haven't been a musician alive that hasn't said, oh, done, dying. But you know, it doesn't leave me.
How do you get your inspiration back?
You know, just eating my mom's cooking. You know, prayer, meditation. You know, getting with my other artist friends, my other writer friends, because more than likely you're going through the same thing at some point. You know, today you'll be feeling fine, they'll call you. Your day, you call them, and hopefully they'll tell you back to yourself the same thing as you tell them. I mean, that's what I do. You know what I mean? You know, I have that system, that group of friends who are other writers or producers, or even if I have a question about some technology that I don't know how to use, hey, can you tell me how to do this? You know what I mean? It takes that, you know, and just sometimes artists either do one or two things. They overstimulate themselves, or they understand themselves. They seclude and stay in their corners and they don't see anybody, or they just running their lives away, right? No. Okay? Neither one is the option you want to take. You need that in between, because you need both. You need to see the lights and hear some music sometimes and be out in the world and see people and feel them and see what they're going through, so now you can come back and say, okay, this is what people are dealing with right now. This is what they need to hear. This is the message they need. And then you go back into your corner, right? And within yourself to express it the way that you need to. You know, I've been on both sides. Find your, keep your inspiration and keep the people that love you very close to you. So when you forget, they remind you who you are.
That sounds like what me and my friends do for fun. I don't really write music that much, but when I was younger, I wanted to be an author.
Okay.
I still kind of want that, but I'm very, when it comes to it, we all get very nervous about being judged.
Yeah.
But if my friends would have a bad day, they'd call me and I'm like, I don't even know what you're worried about. You write this fine. And there'd be days where I call them like, this is complete garbage. What have I done? And I'm just like, if I was there, I'd slap you for saying that.
Anybody else got any questions? Hasn't he been wonderful? Yeah?
Yes.
Y'all appreciate him? Y'all give him a big hand.